Let's segue a little bit more into, now that we talked a little bit about psychology, I think, and some of the fears that may come in, what are some of the other fears that you think usually comes in when you are a coach and you're about to get on the call or you are on a call that holds you back in being that present with your customer or your potential client?
Totally.
What are some of the ones that you've commonly seen that it repeatedly happens?
You know, this may not be the answer that you're looking for, but I will tell you, hand over fist, the number one fear about sales calls is just getting on the phone, right? People are scared to, like, if you measure the amount of time that most coaches are on the phone talking to someone they could potentially help, it's like never. They'll do anything. We'll blog, we'll ride a bike, we'll like rebrand, right? All of those things. We'll look at pixels, but we don't get on the freaking phone. And so, like, I think it's fear of rejection for most people. But I was thinking about this because, like, a year ago, there was a week where I sold $724,000 with a phone. Just like that was it. And it was like, guess how much I sold the week before that? Nothing. I wasn't on the phone at all, right? I was with my kids. I was hanging out. So I think that most people, they get really stuck in thinking about, oh my gosh, I figured out that I really am afraid of no, right? Or I have money mindset issues. Like, you just need to take the action and it will burn away the fear. Because I'll tell you what, at the end of selling that much in a week, which is more than what I thought I could have done, I was a totally different person. And it was on a cellular level, and it was nothing that I would have known prior. And so I think that the key to defeating some of those fears is, like, statistically, if I give somebody a script and they get on the phone with 10 people, even if they're really bad, they're going to sell at least one person. Because there's somebody who's ready, who doesn't really care who you are. They're stepping up. And so I think, like, people have to get on the phone. And then I think that the other set of fears, oh my gosh, people are afraid to close. People are really afraid to receive. I don't know if it's, I coach a lot of amazing women, right? And that's an issue that we work through a lot. I don't know that it's this, I think it's actually a little bit different with men. But with women, I think that we're just scared. I think we're scared to receive. It's like when I tell people, and I don't actually intend that people need to make a $50,000 offer, but like I sold a $130,000 offer out with $2 Facebook leads, right? Like there's so much money out there and so many people who need us. And if I say, write out your $50,000 offer to somebody, they lose their mind. So it's all self-worth, self-value, but your client doesn't freaking care about that. They don't. They just want results. Right?
Yeah, no, that is so true. That is so true. Actually, that reminds me of a story, the first part especially, where there was this coach that good friend. And every time I would meet her, she would keep talking about how she's working on her branding or her message, and I was like, but you gotta start. Like, you don't know if this message is gonna work, this branding is gonna work till the time you do something about it. I was like, take action. Fail, it's fine if you fail, but you wouldn't know. But every time I would meet her, like clockwork, it's like, yeah, I'm working on my message, working on my branding, working on my, like, and after a point I was like, I'm not gonna help you. Because I was helping her like a friend, there was no financial involvement in it. And I was like, I just don't want to help you because all you're doing is like clockwork, talking about the same stuff, not taking any action. And I was like, she's absolutely not ready to get any coach to coach her, and she's a coach herself. So I was like, I could so hear you because I could see an example right there of somebody saying, I'm not going to take that action. That is all that you really require, like you said. Just get on the damn phone.
I know, right?
And make that call. Fail if you have to. Or sometimes win because somebody is ready, even if you are not.
Totally.
Your client's ready for you, even if you are not ready for your client.
If you just stay on the phone, you will sell loads of stuff. Like if you had dialed numbers the entire time you and I have been on the sitting here, you would have sold someone. And I do think that it's a quandary of a really conscious person that they're aware enough to be scared, right? Because there are a lot of people out there selling who don't have a lot of self-awareness. So the thing that I observe is that people of really high value are really afraid to offer like their greatest service.
Yeah, no, definitely true. So two biggest fears that we talked about was, first was just get on the phone, and secondly was, take action, and second one was get on the phone and actually do something, right? Is there anything else that you have found? I mean, fear of rejection, that is there definitely.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you usually, and not being able to make the close or make the offer is what you mean by when you say they're not able to make the close, right?
Yeah. Well, they're afraid to talk about money. They're afraid to be in the role of. It's where I always froze up. And so, can I give people a tip? This like works so well. It's not even funny. It's like probably the smartest sales thing I know. Yeah. So I talk to somebody and I offer good advice, right? Like I don't want to spend an hour with somebody just like talking about whatever. So I'll be like, okay, so here's what I see. Here's what I think you should do. I really give great advice. And then at the end, I go, okay, so thanks. Because I never used to love talking about the money part either. And people who are sold, if you go, okay, great, I hope I was helpful today. They go, wait. How do I work with you? Right?
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because money is all about power and control. It's all about, and none of us like to be sold to. And so if they're all of a sudden saying, how do I buy from you? They've got the power, they've got the control, and then it's very easy for both people to walk through the end of a sale.
So you literally end the call by saying, okay,
I say,
thanks.
Thanks, Ajit, this was awesome. I hope it was helpful.
Okay. So you don't even tell them, do you want to have another conversation? Nothing. So let's walk through your sales process generally, right? That's a good point because I'm curious on what you do. Usually I would do an invite. I would say, would you like to? Yeah.
Sometimes you do, right? If it's a shy person. But can I also ask you one question?
Sure, go
So
for it.
in the fear thing, so tell me what it is, what I observe with men, right? And I've got some really like great male clients that I'm teaching sales, but I'm really fascinated. So what I observe with most men is that they don't bond well at the beginning of the call, right? Like they've got a script that says, ask them about the weather or where they live. And especially if it's a woman on the other line, we don't care about the weather, right? We're not on the phone because like our weather's bad and if you could change my weather, I'd buy that, right? But that's not why we're on the phone. So men tend to not really bond. And I think that if you can really bond, if someone feels really, if their psychology isn't met, right? If they feel seen, if that's what they need, then it increases the chance that you'll sell them by 50%. So what is the piece about men, and this is a huge, horrible generalization, that's scary about really, is that a fear that men have about the bonding or?
No, I don't think it's the fear that it's about bonding. I think what happens is, of course, there are men and women both are like, we both have elements of men have a feminine aspect, females have male aspects. I think what happens is when there's less feminine aspect in men, they come from a very rational mind. And what happens, that's just the masculine side of things. It's a very, and that's how it's been built up. It's like now we're going to get into, again, evolutionary biology. Right? But which is okay, just to understand the concept, it is that's how, men were supposed to be.
Right.
Go hunt.
Yeah, baby.
It's a very, go do that. You're not really taking care of the family. Now think about thousands of years of that conditioning where you are the person who's just doing bam, bam, bam. It's men are not supposed to bond. That's the family stuff is female stuff. Right. I'm talking about evolutionary. I'm not saying that's the truth anymore, but that was the truth. That's how we evolved as human beings. And because of that evolution, there is that element, I think, that stuck around in men and will stick around for a couple of 100 years more before we actually get past it. Because now is only when men go like, I have a little bit feminine side and that's okay. Right. And they're okay and comfortable with it, right? So that I think takes the time that it needs to take. And the men who are not able to create that bond is not necessarily that they don't want to create a bond. They also have the same need, like you said.
Right.
It's not that they want to feel disconnected, but their way of bonding is very different.
Right.
Right? It's like two guys can sit down and watch TV and not talk.
That's right.
Right? Two guys can sit down and not talk.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't happen with females. It's because for men to bond is not always about talking.
Right.
Right? They connected in a different way.
That's right.
So but that's not the truth for, say, females. They like to connect through talking because there's more information exchanged. Right? So it really depends on that. I don't think it's necessarily that they don't want to bond. I don't think that's the point. The point is they bond different.
Yeah.
They don't bond in the same way.
Yeah.
What I've found is generally they still want to connect, but like they want to straight talk about the business.
Right on.
Right? So they want to go to where you would otherwise go a little bit differently. They are uncomfortable if you get into too much personal stuff, because
Right.
it exposes their insecurities, which
Right.
as men you're not supposed to expose.
Right.
You know, by conditioning, social
So
conditioning
good.
doesn't give you that permission.
Right.
Unless you know that the person, like let's say if you really know your audience, you know that I only serve as a coach, let's say for example, to men who are comfortable
Right.
with the and they're not like socially conditioned. They've
Right.
done that journey. They're at that space. So let's say for example, my group will always have men
Of course.
who are okay social conditioning wise. They understand that the social conditioning is why I'm not vulnerable, and they're comfortable being vulnerable.
Yeah.
So they're fine. So that's why my group is never men or women only. It's always a joint group.
Yeah, yeah.
Because everybody understands what is
that's brilliant.
what is the biology that is playing in versus what is the truth of how we should progress.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I would sometimes, like, if there will be a very a masculine man, most of the time they wouldn't resonate with me.
Right.
And I wouldn't resonate with them.
Right.
Right. It has to be that balance, and we
Right.
play with that. So I think if that happens, that's why sometimes the scripting
Right.
would work with a financial broker,
Right.
but wouldn't work with a personal development entrepreneur
Totally.
or somebody who lives in California.
Totally, totally,
Right?
right?
So that kind of stuff,
Totally,
right?
totally, yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
so I think it's that.